There's a reason manifestation isn't working for you. Not because you're doing it wrong, not because you lack belief or vibration or alignment, but because you're trying to manifest in time, trying to create something in the future, waiting for it to arrive eventually, measuring how long it's taking. And time, as quantum physics proves and mystics have always known, is the very thing that prevents manifestation from occurring. The moment you stop thinking about time, the moment you release the concept that creation happens over duration, the moment you recognize that manifestation is instantaneous in the eternal now, everything changes. And if you're reading these words right now, if something inexplicable pulled your attention here, you're about to discover why every manifestation technique you've tried has been fighting against the fundamental mechanics of how reality actually creates itself. This isn't another manifestation method to add to your collection. This isn't technique that takes practice or mastery or time to work. This is recognition that dissolves the one barrier, time itself, that's been standing between you and instantaneous manifestation of everything you've been trying to create. And the shocking truth is, manifestation is simple, ridiculously simple. So simple that your mind has been overlooking it completely because mind is addicted to complexity, to process, to the belief that important things must be difficult and take time. Can you feel it already? That subtle resistance rising as you read these words. That voice saying, but manifestation does take time. I have evidence. I've watched things take months or years to manifest. That resistance is exactly what we're dissolving. Because that voice, that belief, that conviction that time is real and necessary, that's the only thing preventing you from experiencing instantaneous manifestation right now, in this moment, as you read these words. Everything you desire already exists, not in the future, not as potential waiting to become real, but here, now, in the quantum field as collapsed probability that you're simply not perceiving yet, because your consciousness is focused on time rather than on presence. Quantum physics proves this with mathematical precision. Particles don't gradually change from one state to another. They exist in superposition, all possible states simultaneously, until observation instantly collapses them into definite form. No time passes between superposition and collapse. No process occurs. Instantaneous transformation through observation. That's how quantum mechanics works. That's how reality actually functions underneath the illusion of time that your mind projects onto timeless quantum events. And that's how manifestation works, not over time, but in the eternal now where observation and creation are the same event. But here's what makes this revelation so powerful. You don't need to understand quantum physics. You don't need to master complex techniques. You don't need years of practice or spiritual development. You just need to stop thinking about time. That's it. That's the entire secret that manifestation teachers make complicated because they don't understand the quantum mechanics themselves. Stop projecting creation into future. Stop measuring how long it's taking. Stop believing that manifestation requires time. And in that stopping, in that simple release of time-based thinking, instantaneous manifestation becomes not just possible but inevitable. Right now, as you engage with this transmission, something is shifting in how your consciousness relates to time. You can feel it, can't you? That loosening of the grip that time has had on your perception. That opening of awareness into the eternal now where everything already exists. That recognition that maybe, just maybe, time has been the barrier rather than the vehicle, the problem rather than the solution, the thing keeping you from what you want rather than the thing bringing it to you. That recognition is the beginning. That shift is the activation. That opening is where instantaneous manifestation becomes accessible. Ancient mystics encoded this truth in every tradition. Before you ask, it is given. Not after you ask and wait. Before. Because in the timeless now, where God exists and where you actually exist, asking and receiving are simultaneous. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. the evidence of things not seen, not faith that things will eventually manifest in future. Faith that recognizes the unseen substance exists now. The hoped-for thing is present now. The evidence is available now if you're not looking through the filter of time that makes everything appear absent or distant or future. Take a breath, deep one. And as you breathe, notice something extraordinary. This breath is happening in eternal now. Not in past that's already gone. Not in future that's approaching. Now, and now, and now. Every breath you've ever taken has been now. Every experience you've ever had has been now. Every manifestation that's ever occurred has occurred now. Time is the story your mind tells about now. But the actual reality, the quantum field where creation happens, exists only in timeless presence. And that's where we're going. Into the now. Into timeless awareness. Into the space where manifestation isn't something that happens eventually. It's something that's already complete, waiting only for you to stop thinking about time long enough to perceive it. You're about to test this, not as theory or belief, as direct experience. By the end of this transmission, you'll have manifested something instantaneously by releasing time-based thinking. Not because you'll learn special technique, because you'll recognize how simple manifestation actually is when you stop making it complicated with time. The quantum field is responding to you right now, not in future, now. And what you experience in the next moments will confirm that time was never necessary for manifestation. It was only necessary for keeping manifestation safely distant, safely impossible, safely something you could want without having to receive. Before we dissolve the time barrier completely and show you how to manifest instantaneously, you need to understand how time became the barrier in the first place. Because time isn't just neutral measurement of duration. Time, as you've been taught to think about it, is active blocker of manifestation. Every thought about time is actually preventing quantum collapse of what you desire from superposition into your experienced reality. And once you see how this works, once you recognize the mechanism, you can't unknow it. The barrier dissolves through recognition alone. The first way time blocks manifestation is through the concept of when. Every time you think, when will it come? Or, how long will it take? Or, I wonder when this will manifest. You're creating quantum instruction that places your desire outside of now. You're literally programming the quantum field to keep what you want at distance, in future, not yet here. The field responds to consciousness. When consciousness says when, the field responds by maintaining the desire in future tense. Not because the field is withholding, because the field is perfectly responsive to what consciousness is broadcasting. When is broadcast that says, not now, and the field obeys by keeping it not now, perpetually future, always approaching but never arriving. The second way time blocks manifestation is through measuring. When you track how long it's been since you set the intention, count the days or weeks or months, measure progress toward manifestation, you're reinforcing the very time structure that prevents instant collapse. Quantum events don't occur through accumulation of time. They occur through observation in present moment. Every time you measure duration, you're telling consciousness that time is real and necessary. And that belief in time as real makes time function as real barrier, even though quantum mechanically, time is just construct that consciousness can choose to believe in or not. The third way time blocks manifestation is through patience. This might shock you because patience is usually taught as virtue, especially in manifestation teachings. Be patient, it will come in divine timing. But patience is actually reinforcement of time as necessary for manifestation. Patience means wait, endure the absence, accept that what you want isn't here now and won't be for some time. That's not spiritual virtue. That's programming yourself to experience absence rather than presence, lack rather than fulfillment, future arrival rather than present availability. True manifestation doesn't require patience because it doesn't require waiting. It requires presence, and presence and patience are not the same thing. The fourth way time blocks manifestation is through the belief in process. First, this must happen, then that, then eventually the desire manifests. Logical mind loves this because process is predictable, controllable, understandable. But quantum mechanics doesn't work through process. Quantum collapse is instantaneous. One moment, superposition. Next moment, definite form. No middle stages, no gradual transformation. Just instant shift from all possibilities to one actuality through observation. When you believe manifestation requires process, you're imposing time-based structure onto quantum event that's naturally instantaneous. The belief in process creates process, but the belief isn't necessary. It's actually preventing you from experiencing how simple an immediate manifestation actually is. The fifth way time blocks manifestation is through planning. When you plan how manifestation will unfold, when you map out the steps or timeline or sequence, you're locking consciousness into time-based framework that limits quantum possibilities to logical progression. The quantum field can deliver through infinite pathways, but when you plan, you're telling the field, only this pathway, only this sequence, only this timing. And the field, being perfectly responsive, honors your limitation and attempts to manifest through the narrow pathway you've defined, rather than through the infinite possibilities that would deliver instantly if you weren't limiting through planning. But here's what's crucial. None of this is your fault. You've been conditioned from birth to think in time. Linear time is fundamental to how human society functions. Schedules, deadlines, appointments, measurements. Your brain developed in time-structured environment. Your language is built on past, present, future tenses. You were never taught that time is optional, that quantum reality operates outside time, that manifestation occurs in eternal now rather than through duration. The conditioning is so deep that the suggestion to stop thinking about time might seem impossible or incomprehensible, but it's not. And you're about to discover exactly how simple it is. Think about dreams. In dreams, time doesn't function as it does in waking life. You can experience years in minutes. You can jump between moments with no sense of duration. Past and future mix freely. And manifestation in dreams is instantaneous. You want something and it appears. No waiting required. Why? Because in dream state, your consciousness naturally relaxes its grip on linear time. You stop measuring, stop planning, stop thinking about when. And in that relaxation, in that natural timelessness, creation is instant. What we're doing is bringing that dream state awareness of time into waking consciousness, not to make life dreamlike, but to access the timeless quantum reality that dreams accidentally tap into. Your entire experience with manifestation has been frustrated because you've been trying to manifest in time while manifestation actually occurs in timelessness. It's like trying to catch fish in the sky. You're looking in the wrong dimension. You're using the wrong operating system. You're applying time-based logic to quantum mechanics that transcend time. And the moment you stop, the moment you release time thinking and drop into eternal now, manifestation becomes as simple as observation. See it now, feel it now, know it now. And in that nowness, quantum field collapses it from possibility into experience because you're finally interfacing where creation actually occurs rather than where you've been conditioned to believe it occurs. There are specific signals that confirm you're beginning to transcend time-based consciousness and access the timeless quantum field where instantaneous manifestation occurs. These aren't achievements to create or states to force. They're natural phenomena that arise when consciousness stops projecting into past or future and settles into eternal now. And recognizing these signals, trusting what they show you, accelerates the complete dissolution of time as barrier between desire and manifestation. The first signal is present moment manifestation. Something you want appears immediately, same day, within hours, sometimes within minutes of the desire arising. Not through coincidence or luck. Through quantum mechanics responding to consciousness that isn't projecting into future, isn't measuring time, isn't creating time gap between want and have. When you want without the thought, when will I get it? The quantum field has no instruction to create gap, so it collapses the desired probability now. This is how manifestation naturally functions when time thinking isn't blocking it. The second signal is time collapsing around manifestations. You set intention expecting it to take months, but it manifests in weeks. You think something will take weeks, but it happens in days. Duration shrinks dramatically, not because you're getting better at manifesting, but because you're accidentally releasing some time thinking even while still believing time is necessary. The less you think about timeline, the faster things manifest. This is direct feedback showing you that time isn't helping manifestation, it's preventing it. The manifestations that happen fastest are the ones you stop thinking about timeline for. The third signal is sequence disruption. Things manifest out of logical order. You get the end result before the middle steps occur. You experience the outcome before the causes are in place. This violates time-based causality and confirms that quantum field doesn't actually require linear sequence. Effect can precede cause when consciousness stops imposing time structure. This isn't chaos. This is quantum mechanics operating naturally without time constraints that mind usually imposes. The fourth signal is past shifting. Events you remember clearly changing when you look back at them. Circumstances that seemed one way yesterday appearing different today, not because you misremembered, but because past is actually fluid when accessed from timeless awareness. This violates everything you've been taught about time being fixed. But quantum physics proves past isn't fixed until observed, and re-observation can change what's remembered. When you experience past shifting, you're touching the timeless dimension where all moments exist simultaneously and are all equally accessible to present moment consciousness. The fifth signal is future knowing. You know what's going to happen before it happens, not as logical prediction, but as direct knowing. You're in conversation and you know what they'll say before they speak. You're in situation and you know the outcome before it unfolds. This isn't psychic ability developing. This is natural function of timeless awareness, where future is accessible now because it already exists in quantum superposition waiting to be collapsed. When you stop thinking in linear time, future becomes present moment knowledge rather than unknown that must be waited for. The sixth signal is now expansion. Present moment stops feeling like narrow instant between past and future. It expands into spaciousness, into eternity, into dimension where everything exists. Time doesn't disappear, but it becomes transparent. You can see that past and future are just present moment thoughts about other moments, not actual separate times that you're removed from. All moments are here, now, accessible, if consciousness isn't lost in time thinking that makes them appear distant. The seventh signal is manifestation without trying. Things you want appearing without you consciously working on manifesting them. You weren't affirming or visualizing or doing techniques, you just wanted something and then it was there, effortlessly. This happens when consciousness is so present, so free from time thinking, that desire and fulfillment aren't separated by time gap. They're simultaneous. The wanting is the having because both occur in now, where quantum field responds instantly to observation. And the eighth signal is that you're here, reading these words, recognizing yourself in what's described. The quantum field doesn't deliver teachings randomly. If this transmission found you, if you're still reading, if something is resonating beyond intellectual agreement, you're already beginning the shift from time consciousness to timeless awareness. The signals are activating. The barrier is dissolving. Instantaneous manifestation is becoming accessible not as future possibility, but as present capacity that's been blocked only by time thinking. Write in the comments which signals you're experiencing. Just list them. Present moment manifestation, or sequence disruption, or now expansion. That acknowledgement does something quantum. It locks in the frequency. It confirms the shift. It tells consciousness and the field that yes, you're releasing time thinking, yes, you're accessing timeless dimension, yes, you're ready for instantaneous manifestation rather than continuing to create through time-based waiting that was never necessary in the first place. To manifest instantaneously by transcending time, you first need to understand what happens in the timeless moment where creation actually occurs. Because this moment, this eternal now, isn't just philosophical concept. It's literal quantum state, where all possibilities exist simultaneously before collapsing into definite experience. And when you access this state, when you interface with quantum field from timelessness rather than from time consciousness, manifestation becomes not just fast, but instantaneous. Not eventually, but now. Not through process, but through recognition. The eternal now is not a moment in time. It's not the present sandwiched between past and future. It's the dimension where time itself appears and disappears. Think of it like screen on which movie plays. The screen exists before, during, and after movie. The screen isn't affected by anything that happens in movie. Past scenes, present scene, future scenes, all of them appear on the same screen, the same now, the same timeless presence. Your consciousness is like that screen. Thoughts about past, experiences of present, projections into future. All of them appear in the now of consciousness. You never actually leave now. It's impossible to leave now. Even when you're mentally time traveling, that mental activity is happening now. In this eternal now, quantum field exists in pure potential. Not as things waiting to manifest in future, as collapsed and uncollapsed simultaneously. Schrödinger's cat is both alive and dead until observation determines which. Your desire is both manifested and unmanifested until observation collapses it one way or other. The quantum field isn't waiting for time to pass before it can deliver. It's waiting for observation free from time thinking. Observation that says, this exists now, rather than this will exist eventually. And the moment that observation occurs, quantum collapse happens, not over time, in the instant of observation itself. This is why time-based manifestation is so frustrating. You're trying to observe something into being while simultaneously thinking about when it will be. Those are contradictory instructions to quantum field. Manifest this, observation trying to collapse wave function, and but not now, eventually. Time thinking keeping wave function in superposition. The field responds to both instructions simultaneously by maintaining perpetual state of almost manifested, coming soon, nearly there. You're creating the very waiting you're trying to end. Not through lack of power or belief, but through contradiction between desire to manifest and belief that manifestation requires time. Here's the key that unlocks everything. Manifestation doesn't happen through time. Manifestation happens in the eternal now, and then mind creates time story to explain how it got here. You manifest instantly in timeless dimension, and then you remember a history of how the manifestation arrived over time. But that history is constructed retroactively. It's not how manifestation actually occurred. It's the story mind tells to make sense of quantum event that transcends causality and sequence. Think about sudden manifestations you've experienced, something you wanted appearing unexpectedly, synchronistically, impossibly. In that moment, you weren't thinking about timeline. You'd probably forgotten you even wanted it. or you'd released attachment to when it would come. And in that release, in that moment when time thinking wasn't active, boom, instant collapse from quantum potential into physical experience. Not because time finally accumulated enough, but because time thinking finally stopped blocking long enough for natural instantaneous manifestation to occur. Right now, everything you desire exists in quantum superposition. It's not waiting in future to materialize eventually. It's present now as collapsed possibility, just not in the probability branch you're currently observing. Infinite versions of reality exist simultaneously. In some versions you have what you desire. In other versions you don't. Which version you experience depends on which probability wave your consciousness collapses through observation. And the key determining factor in which wave collapses is, are you observing from time consciousness, which maintains separation between you and desire, or from timeless awareness, which recognizes no separation because separation requires time gap, and there is no time gap in eternal now? Can you feel how close you are to experiencing this directly? How simple it actually is. You don't need to learn anything complex. You don't need to master advanced techniques. You just need to stop thinking about time long enough to observe your desire as present now rather than as future possibility. That's it. That's the entire mechanism. Stop projecting into future. Stop measuring duration. Stop creating time gap through time thinking and observe what you want as existing now, feel it now, know it now. And in that now observation free from time thinking, quantum field collapses it into your experience because you're finally interfacing where creation actually occurs. In the eternal now that contains all possibilities simultaneously. 4 years ago, I accidentally discovered the timeless manifestation mechanism in the most unexpected way. I wasn't practicing techniques or following teachings. I was in such intense present moment, dealing with crisis that demanded total attention, that all thought about past and future simply stopped. No planning, no wondering when, no measuring how long. Just complete presence in the now crisis, requiring immediate response. And in that state of absolute nowness, miracles started happening. Things I'd been trying to manifest for years appeared within hours. Circumstances shifted impossibly. Solutions manifested from nowhere. Not gradually, instantly. At first I thought it was divine intervention or answered prayers. But as I paid attention to the pattern, I realized something shocking. The manifestations had nothing to do with the crisis content and everything to do with the consciousness state the crisis created. The crisis forced me into eternal now by demanding such present attention that time thinking shut down temporarily. And in that accidental timelessness, in that unintended release of when thoughts and how long thoughts, manifestation happened the way quantum mechanics says it should happen. Instantaneously, through observation, without time process. After that recognition, I started testing deliberately. Could I access that timeless state without crisis forcing it? Could I stop thinking about time intentionally rather than accidentally? Could I manifest through present moment observation rather than through time-based waiting? The answer was yes. But the mechanics were so simple that I initially dismissed them as too easy to be real. No elaborate ritual, no long meditation, no affirmation repetition. Just stop thinking about when. Feel the desire as now. Observe it as present. And let quantum field do what quantum field naturally does when time thinking isn't blocking it. Collapse possibility into experience instantly. The first deliberate test was small. I wanted something minor, a specific book that was out of print. Instead of thinking, where will I find this? How long will it take to locate? I just felt having the book now, not visualized having it later, not affirmed it was coming, just rested in the state of having it now even though physical evidence said I didn't have it. Held that for maybe 30 seconds of pure present moment knowing. then released attention completely and forgot about it. That afternoon, 4 hours later, friend contacted me unexpectedly, said they were cleaning their library, asked if I wanted some books they were discarding. The exact book I'd wanted was in the stack. Not coincidence, quantum mechanics responding to timeless observation. After that confirmation, I tested bigger manifestations: money, opportunities, relationships, circumstances. Same mechanics every time. Stop thinking about when or how long. Feel it as now. Observe it as present reality in quantum field, even though physical reality hasn't caught up yet. Release attachment to timeline and watch it manifest with speed that defies logical explanation. Sometimes same day, often within days, always faster than should be possible if time were real barrier rather than mental construct. What I learned through testing: the size of manifestation doesn't matter. The complexity doesn't matter. What matters is how completely you release time thinking during the observation. Small things with zero time attachment manifest instantly. Large things with heavy time attachment manifest slowly, not because they're more difficult, but because your consciousness is creating more time gap through more time thinking. The quantum field doesn't distinguish between easy and hard manifestations. Consciousness does that through how much time story it creates around each desire. This is what I wish someone had shown me decades earlier, before I wasted years doing techniques that reinforced time thinking while claiming to accelerate manifestation. Before I spent countless hours visualizing future scenarios instead of recognizing that future visualization is literally programming the quantum field to keep everything in future. Before I practiced patience with manifestations when patience is just acceptance that time is necessary, which makes time function as necessary barrier through the belief in its necessity. Your path doesn't have to include that waste. You can learn from my testing and skip straight to what actually works: timeless observation. Not as complex practice, but as simple recognition that now is where everything exists, now is where quantum field responds, now is where manifestation occurs. The moment you genuinely feel your desire as present now rather than as future arrival. The moment you observe it without when thoughts or how long thoughts. The moment you interface with quantum field from eternal now rather than from time consciousness. That moment, instantaneous collapse occurs at quantum level. Physical manifestation might take moments or hours or days to become apparent, but the quantum collapse, the actual creation event, happens instantly in the timeless now where you observed it. Now that you understand the timeless mechanism and how accidental or intentional release of time thinking creates instant manifestation, the question becomes practical. How do you consistently access the eternal now, where manifestation is instantaneous? How do you stop thinking about time not just occasionally, but as your baseline? How do you shift from time consciousness being primary with occasional timeless glimpses, to timelessness being primary with occasional time thoughts, being the exception? The first key is catching time thinking the moment it arises. This requires vigilance initially because time thinking is so automatic, so constant, so fundamental to how mind operates that you don't notice you're doing it. But start paying attention to your thoughts about manifestation. Every "when will it come" thought, catch it. Every "how long will this take" thought, notice it. Every "it's been X days, weeks, months" thought, see it. Don't judge these thoughts. Don't fight them. Just catch them. Awareness itself begins to dissolve the pattern, because when you see time thinking clearly, you can choose something else. The second key is replacing time thinking with now awareness. When you catch yourself wondering when something will manifest, immediately shift to feeling it as now. Not as mental affirmation, "I have this now," while secretly believing you don't, but as genuine felt sense of having it now in quantum field, even though physical reality hasn't shown it yet. This isn't pretending or lying to yourself. This is recognizing that quantum field contains all possibilities now, and the version where you have what you want exists now, and you're simply choosing to observe that version rather than the version where you don't have it yet. The third key is using physical sensation as anchor to now. You can think about past or future, but you can only feel now. Every time you notice time thinking, drop into physical sensation. Feel your breath, feel your body. Feel the aliveness that exists only now. This immediately pulls consciousness out of mental time travel and into present moment. And present moment is where quantum field exists, where manifestation occurs, where observation can collapse probability without time delay between desire and fulfillment. The fourth key is questioning every should-take-time belief. When you think this is too big to manifest quickly, or complex things take longer, or I need to be patient with this one, question it. Says who? Based on what? Quantum physics? Or based on conditioned belief in time as necessary? The quantum field doesn't recognize size or complexity. Those are mental constructs. Everything is just information arranging itself. And information rearrangement is instantaneous at quantum level. Only your belief in time necessity creates time experience. Question that belief. Test whether releasing it changes manifestation speed. Discover through direct experience that time is optional. The fifth key is celebrating instant manifestations instead of dismissing them. When something manifests quickly, mind often explains it away. That was just coincidence, or that was too small to count, or that would have happened anyway. These dismissals are mind protecting its time belief system. Because if instant manifestation is possible for small things, why not for big things? And if it's possible for big things, then time isn't necessary, which means all the waiting and patience and process thinking was unnecessary suffering. Mind resists that recognition, but every instant manifestation is evidence that time is optional. Celebrate it. Let it strengthen your recognition that timeless creation is natural, and time-based creation is artificial construct. The sixth key is practicing now completion. Instead of, I want this and I'll be happy when it comes, shift to, I'm complete now and I'm also creating this. Wanting from incompletion creates time gap because incompletion is lack, and lack implies future fulfillment. But wanting from completion is just preference to experience something in addition to already being whole. No lack, no future dependency, no time gap between now and fulfillment because you're already fulfilled. This shift is subtle, but quantum mechanically crucial. It's the difference between observation that creates time barrier and observation that creates instant collapse. The seventh key is trusting quantum over physical. Physical reality shows current manifestation based on past observation. Quantum reality contains all possible manifestations based on present observation. When you look at physical reality and don't see what you want, mind says, it's not here yet, I need to wait. But that's exactly the time thinking that keeps it not here. Instead, trust quantum over physical. Know that quantum field contains your desire now, and physical reality will catch up to match your timeless observation. Not eventually, but as soon as consciousness stops creating time gap through time thinking. These keys aren't practices to do occasionally. They're ways of relating to reality that either maintain time as barrier or dissolve time as illusion. Every moment you're choosing through where you place attention. In time-based thinking about when, how long, or in timeless awareness of now. The more you choose now, the more manifestation accelerates until it becomes genuinely instantaneous, not just for small things, but for everything. Because you've dissolved the primary barrier that was never actually real, just believed to be real, and belief in time made time function as real until you stopped believing and discovered time was optional all along. Something crucial happens after you begin consistently releasing time thinking and accessing timeless manifestation that most teachers never mention because they haven't experienced it themselves. You start to see that time isn't just optional for manifestation. Time is optional for everything. Your entire experience of reality shifts from time-based to presence-based. Not as dissociation or spacing out, but as more vivid, more alive, more direct contact with what is, rather than with stories about what is. And this shift can feel destabilizing, disorienting, like you're losing your reference points for how to function in a world that still believes time is real and necessary. This is the phase I call time dissolution, where the illusion of linear time becomes so transparent that you can't maintain it consistently even when trying to function in society that's organized entirely around time constructs. Appointments feel arbitrary. Deadlines feel meaningless. Planning feels like playing pretend. Memories feel equally present as current experience. Future feels accessible now rather than as something approaching. You're not broken or dissociated. You're just perceiving reality more accurately, as eternal now, with mental constructs of time overlaid rather than as actual sequential time with brief present moments. During time dissolution, others might think you're flaky or unreliable or not taking things seriously. You show up late or forget appointments because time tracking has become foreign to consciousness that exists in eternal now. You don't understand why people stress about deadlines when everything exists now anyway. You can't engage with conversations about remember when or what will happen when, because past and future feel like present moment mental constructs rather than like actual separate times you're removed from. But here's what you need to understand. Time dissolution is natural stage in shift from time consciousness to timeless awareness. It's temporary disorientation that occurs when old operating system is being replaced by new one. You haven't lost ability to function in time-based society. You're just learning to engage with time consciously as useful construct rather than unconsciously as reality you're trapped in. Like learning that money is just agreed upon fiction. You can still use it, but you relate to it differently once you see it's not real in the way you previously thought.